Have you ever wondered if a single choice we make could influence the future, and for how long? 91 kalpas, an unfathomable span of time. It sounds like a myth, doesn't it? But the story we're diving into today is exactly that, incredible. It's a story about a promise and the eternal chain reaction it set in motion. First, let's consider a question. Suppose you were royalty, of noble birth, and a close relative to a future Buddha. Why would you willingly choose to spend your entire life as a servant? It sounds completely illogical, right? What story could possibly lie behind such a choice? This is the mystery of our protagonist, Rajhumala, the hairbraider. Her entire life revolved around this seemingly inexplicable contradiction. To solve this puzzle, we have to rewind time to the starting point. Over 2,0 years ago, inside the palace of the Shakya clan. Let's look at the relationships back then. The king had 4 sons and 2 world-renowned daughters, the famous Queen Maya and her sister, Maha Bajapatigodami. Our protagonist, Rajhumala, was the personal maid to these 2 princesses. Keep this trio in mind, because their fates were tightly bound together long, long ago. You might think, she's just a maid, her life is pretty much set. But Rajhumala completely defies our expectations. Not only did she follow the princesses into the palace, but she later followed the Buddha into homelessness to practice. Most astonishingly, she eventually attained the stage of an arahant, becoming a fully awakened sage. This makes it even harder to understand, doesn't it? Why would an awakened being be content with the status of a servant for her whole life? The answer doesn't lie in that final lifetime, but in a very, very distant past. The deep time journey, 91 kalpas. The Buddha revealed that to understand Rajhumala's choice, we must rewind the clock not by 100 or 10 years, but by 91 great kalpas. This is a duration the human brain can barely conceive. To find the source of her story, we must take a journey into deep time. Look at this timeline. From the era of Vipassi Buddha to Kassapa Buddha, and finally to the Shakya Buddha we know today. This is a promise spanning countless generations. The seed was planted during the time of Vipassi Buddha. There were 3 close friends who were deeply moved by the Buddha's majestic presence. The first woman made a vow. May I give birth to a son as great as him in the future, who will also attain Buddhahood. This vow led her to become the mother of Prince Siddhartha Queen Maya. The second woman immediately followed. Then I vowed to be the aunt of that future prince. This vow destined her to be the one who would raise the Buddha Mahabhajapatigodami. The third woman looked at her 2 friends making these grand vows and said something that sounded ordinary, yet shook eternity. In that case, I will be your hairbraider servant. Do you see? Her humble status wasn't a cruel twist of fate. It was a promise she made with her own lips 91 kalpas ago. She chose a lifetime of companionship to support the great aspirations of her friends. The secret of foremost intelligence. But the story doesn't end there. Beyond her status, Rajhumala had a famous trait. She was hailed as foremost in diligence. Where did that come from? To solve this, we jump forward in time to the era of Kassapa Buddha. In the Sangha back then, there was a nun who practiced with extreme intensity. Her diligence was recognized by everyone as number 1. At that time, a disciple under this number 1 nun saw her teacher's hard work and felt a deep longing. She made a vow. May I also become foremost in diligence under the teachings of Shakyamuni Buddha in the future. That was the seed planted. The fruit was realized in Rajhumala. After her enlightenment, the title she was officially recognized for was foremost in diligence. Every defining characteristic of her life came from a past vow. The power of aspiration, vow power. So, what is the key to all of this? It isn't a coincidence, and it isn't magic. It is a very concrete, real force called vow power, pranidhana. This isn't just a casual wish. It is the creative force formed by your intention and your words, a force strong enough to cross countless cycles of birth and death, accurately delivering you to where you want to go and making you into the person you want to be. A master once put it beautifully, no one around the Buddha is gathered there by chance. This means every significant person in our lives and every encounter is actually the result of some past cause. Our social network is a vast web woven by countless past vows. How does this apply to us today? How does a story from 91 kalpas ago relate to us today? It relates deeply, because the law of vow power is still perfectly active today, operating within each of us at every moment. Since this power is so immense, how should we use it? We can learn to make wise aspirations that bring long-term benefits. Vow to free yourself from afflictions. Vow to gain wisdom to see the true nature of things. Vow to have the ability to help others. Vow to have the eloquence to explain truths clearly. These are the beautiful seeds for your future. However, there is a crucial warning. This is the most sobering part of the story. Vow power is neutral. It simply executes your orders faithfully. If you make a good vow, you get a good result. But if you constantly complain, "I'm just no good at this," or make excuses like, "I naturally have a terrible memory," be careful. These words are also seeds. Vow power will faithfully help you realize those promises too. A choice Rajhumala made 91 kalpas ago determined her role and her greatest strength in her final life. This forces us to look back at ourselves. What kind of future are the words we speak and the thoughts we think today creating for us? The power is in your hands. The real question is, what do you want to use it to create?